Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing very, very well. And if you could just do the usual, if you could just let me know, can you see me? Can you hear me? Does everything look and sound okay? That would be absolutely awesome. And then we'll go through and welcome in today's guest. I mean, you've probably already guessed who it is anyway, but I thought it's been quite a while since we've actually had a... Oh, bear with me. Right, let me just mute myself. Yeah, you've probably already guessed who it is, but it's been quite a while since we've had a chat on the live stream, and I thought it'd be a bit of fun to get together and have a little talk. So, who do you think it is? I think it's pretty obvious who it is. Good afternoon, Imran. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Yes, it is me. You can all switch off now, okay? You're all disappointed, right? Ruined your Wednesday afternoon. I'm back. I'm not completely back, but hey, Paul very kindly says, hey, do you want to jump in on a live? And I thought, why not? Let's just get out there and have a bit of fun.
Hell
so
yeah.
It's me. Hi.
What else can you do on a wet Wednesday afternoon?
Let's not go there.
Let's not indeed. How are you doing anyway? Before we sort of go and do a couple of hellos and who's in the chat today and so on, how are you doing? How's life treating you? What are you up to at the moment, Imran?
I'm doing okay, and obviously, you know, I took a break from live chats mainly because I found myself juggling way too much with client work, videos I wanted to get recorded, and hopefully a lot of you have seen how I've expanded our Elementor web design course, and I've got these $1 packs. There was so much I wanted to get done, so I had to pause the live chat. I might as well make the announcement that I will be returning to the live chat maybe in 2 or 3 weeks time, but it's been great because I've been able to put a bit more time into family, enjoying life a bit more, getting things done, doing client work, even though I really do hate doing client work sometimes, especially when they go, oh, can we change the logo? And I'm like, no, leave the logo as it is. But it's been great because I've been able to just slightly forget the world a little bit and just really get focused. But now all the little things I wanted to get done, they're done. So I'm back.
Well, it's good to have you back. And it's good to see that you are contemplating doing the live streams again. I'm sure Mark will be incredibly happy now because he'll have something to do every morning. That's all we're going to say. But actually, you brought up a really good point. I mean, you still work with clients. I still work with some clients and so on. You know, not as frequently as I used to, and it's only existing clients that I actually do any kind of work with. But as you said, it does become, I think once you've kind of moved past that, and you know yourself, you're doing a lot of content creation every single day, and that, let's be honest about it, that's probably taken up the biggest chunk of your time.
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, your actual physical time, but your brain time as well. It is difficult to go back and switch back into that mode where you have to deal with clients and their demands and their requirements and things. I mean, how do you find juggling that? And is this something that you think, when the time is right, it's going to be time to move on from working with clients? You know, is that something you see in your future?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've already let 4 clients go that we had legacy hosting for. They actually wanted to continue and they were prepared to pay a bit more. And I went, nope, I'm not interested. I actually let them go, mainly because I just got a little bit fed up with what about this? What about that? And they're entitled to ask for these requests because it's part of their maintenance package. But when you suddenly, what happens is if you only ever do web design work or hosting, you actually want people to make requests because you are either fulfilling your obligation to them or you're able to get an upsell out of it and they pay for the work. When you're doing content creation and you open up other, you know, revenue streams and whatever, you almost look at it and go, I can get XYZ done and I know I'm going to satisfy loads of people and still make an income and still be happy. And yeah, it takes time, but you can get on with it. And you are your own worst critic. You decide if it's good enough or bad enough or if you're going to redo it. When you're working with a client, you're working almost on their time scales, waiting for them to get back to you. You might be having a really great morning and you got your Pepsi Max and then you get an email. They go, can we change this? Can we do that? And getting back into that, I don't mind it because we're a web design agency, but I am definitely going to be reducing that. I have already reduced it, but I just want it goes back to, why are you a freelancer? Why are you self-employed? Why did I give up 20 years of an NHS career? I want to be my own boss. But you have to start off as an agency. You have to start off with making an income from somewhere. But once you're able to generate income where you're not completely reliant on other people, it feels like a backward step. So when a client sends me like a 20-page Word document and I have to convert it into a PDF and then I have to upload it and then I have to do something else to it, it feels a little bit pathetic. And I'm going to try and be careful with my words because I don't mind helping them out, but it feels a little bit like I'm more skilled. I've got more to do. I've got more to show off. I'm not your dog's body. So that's how it feels a little bit. And I don't want it to feel like we're big-headed or like, oh, we're more important. It's not that. It's just once you look. Let me explain, okay, and then I'll let you jump back in, Paul. If you've generated loads of money, and we would all love to be in this situation, and every month you're making £1,000 of interest, you may work a little bit less because the money just happens. The money just comes in. But if you haven't got that pot of money and you're not making a lot of interest on your savings, to survive, you've got to keep working hard and hard and hard. And I'm now at that phase where I still need to make an income. I still need to live. I still got to make sure we've got a roof over our head and pay for the electricity. But I don't want to be reliant on clients. That was I don't even think I explained myself very well there. But I think you get where I'm coming from.
I do. The reason I sort of asking this is because the last couple of weeks I've done a little bit of client work more than I probably would have done more than I probably have done in the last couple of years. It's been good from my point of view because it's allowed me to use that and really get stuck into working with bricks. It gave me the ability to get a proper understanding of working on commercial projects, not stuff for myself, but commercial projects with requirements, with client requirements and so on. So from that aspect, I've really enjoyed it. But what it very quickly brought home was how frustrating it can be to work with clients with you'll sort of get an email of a client and they'll go like, where are we with the project? How far I need, when are we going to get this, that, and the other done? It's like, well, I sent you an email a week ago asking you for X, Y, and Z, and I still haven't had it. Without X, Y, and Z, I can't do any more work. That kind of holds you up. So it's opened my eyes to that. And also, I think Friday in our little sort of Facebook chat group, I think I expressed my frustration where a client had logged into their site, which hadn't been updated in God knows how long. They've got no care or maintenance plan going on. It's running ridiculously old software. And they installed something, stopped them getting access to pretty much anything. And then they're phoning me at 7:30 on a Friday night and sending me emails and so on. And it's like, oh, I can't get my site. I can't do this, I can't do the other. I installed this and now I can't get access to so-and-so. It's like, well, what do you want me to do about it? So it's like, don't get me wrong, I did go in there without replying back and sort a few bits and pieces out on my own time kind of thing. But the first thing I did was bill. And I thought, well, I'll bill you straight away because if you called a plumber out because you'd screwed up your washing machine or you'd drilled a hole in your floorboard for whatever reason, you've gone through a pipe and you had to call someone out to come and fix it, you'd expect to pay for it. And I thought, well, this is no different. And I'll also charge you for the, should we say, the time that you actually contacted me, being antisocial hours and so on. And it really did bring home, first of all, how fortunate I am to be in the position that I'm in, where I don't need to be working with web design clients if I don't want to, but also how I don't want to. The simple fact is I just don't want to deal with it anymore. It's just, I've had many, many years of it.
You know what? Another simple way to explain it is that there's going to be loads of people that a long time ago, they started a shop, like a proper bricks and mortar shop. And they were running the shop and they were there every day. And at some point in time, they employed other staff to run the shop or to be there on the shop front. They're still the manager. They're still running things, but they're not now the one behind the till or serving the customers. And it's because they were either able to employ someone else to come and do it, but also a lot of people I know that used to run shops, it's because they actually got a bit fed up of it. They get to a point where they're like, I don't have to physically be there anymore. I can be getting on with the things. And when you're working with a client, you know, you can lose a week or two of your life. And for us that do content creation, a week or two is a lot of time. Paul's been putting out tons of videos. The amount of stuff we can get done. I had 4 days off work, you know, and that was a big thing for me, you know, not only because of the amount of emails you have to come back to and whatever, but it's like I couldn't help sit there while it was raining. I was in Edinburgh and it was raining and my son was on his phone and I sat there going, I could be recording. I could be doing something. Yeah. But yeah.
It is sad that you kind of feel like that, but I think we've talked about this before where you very much, when you're a content creator, you can guarantee you'll go away and do something. Like say you go away for the day and there'll be like this major update to something. You're thinking, Jesus, if I was at home now, I could be creating a video on that and get that out there. And I know it would get traction and get loads of comments and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, it's sad, is what we're trying to say. Well, it's sad, but it's our job.
It's like when the 3.21 beta came out. I did a video in like the room with my phone on top of a towel just to talk about and I was trying to test out the taxonomy filter on my phone. And if you ever try to do edit with Elementor on your phone, I can't believe I even got there with it. It was like effing and blinding. But yeah, it's there's a bit of a thrill, isn't there, with and it's not about being the first one, but sometimes you experience something and you just want to get it out there. Because you've got this like emotion, whether you like it or hate it or excited, you just want to let it out. And we could write a post, you know, we could do a tweet, but it's not the same as when we just let it out with our expressions and actions.
It is. And I think the other thing that's quite good, like you said, not being first to get the content out. I know for me, I'll tend to watch other people's videos, like your videos and stuff like that. And it'll be like, actually, I wouldn't have approached it that way. I'd have approached it a different way. But seeing it from that point of view, it's like, that actually makes me think about that feature a little differently. And I think it's been useful like that, where you can see how other people interpret features and functions and updates and things like that. And maybe, like I say, opens your eyes to the differences involved in it.
Well, it's a bit like, Paul did a video, was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday, about the studio.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll get discussed today. And I was looking at it and I was about to record a video and there was a little bit of a limitation and it bugged me. And then when we were chatting and you were doing your video, I thought, well, I won't do mine. I'd rather sit and watch what you say and how you handle it, because that limitation really was like, how do I approach this without sounding really nasty or fed up about it? So. Yeah. For anyone out there that thinks, you got your video out before Paul or Paul before Jeffrey or anything, it's not like that. It's just our own take of it. And we're all very, very different in how we approach things.
I think we also bring our own bias to it as well. It's like, you know, we do. We've got certain tools that we maybe favor over others. And that will change. It'll give you an unconscious bias towards, you know, whatever is brought out. Like, for example, like AI and things like that, AI integration into, you know, page builders and other tools and things. I've got my feelings on it. I've thought about making a couple of different videos, not about any specific, tool, but more about my thought of using, AI in these kinds of tools from the design point of view. And I've tested quite a few different ones, like Brizzy AI came out recently, and I tested that out yesterday, and I've tested Zip WP, and I've tested different ones like that. And I still think they've all got very, very big limitations. You know, AI is good, but I think the overarching thing that I've got, and I know you played about with AI a lot, and Mark has played about with AI a lot. I think the overarching thing for me is that I don't think designers are in any way, shape, or form for the foreseeable future, no matter how good it gets, are in danger. Yes, you lose to those low-ticket jobs, the people that want a website for 200 quid. You'll probably lose to those. But then if you were working for that kind of money in this country, you were probably just a very, very busy fool. Whereas I think once you start to look beyond that, and I'm sure there'll come a time where, this won't be the case, but when you look beyond that, and anything remotely more difficult than a simple brochure page or a brochure site, AI is not capable of doing that at this point in time. It just isn't.
I see it as being, eventually AI will get better, but I don't think it will ever go beyond, like you've just said, brochure sites. So it's a bit like if you go and join GoDaddy and you now say you want a website to sell hats, it will go, nah, this template's going to work for you. And that's what will happen. The AI is just going to give you like a standardy template, and your website might look very similar to someone else's. And then when you want to modify it, you can either do it on your own with some sort of, drag and drop, or you contact a designer and you get us to do it for you. So I feel like in some way you could say it might generate more clients, because there might be more people who might be more inclined, I really need a website. There's a bit of AI. And they go and do it. It's like Wix, right? So many people jumped onto Wix because it was made out to be so easy 10 years ago. And nearly every person I've ever known who's used Wix eventually goes to a different platform. Doesn't always be WordPress, but they usually do, because they realize, well, it was great, but it didn't give me that bespoke design or the features I really wanted or whatever. So I think it might open the gateway for more people.
Yeah, potentially. And I think to talk about the Wix analogy, and I think this is probably the key reason why Wix have brought out things like Wix Studio, which is more akin to targeting, not so much Webflow. I think Webflow is, but maybe somewhere in between Wix and a WordPress page builder. There's you can get deeper if you want to, but also if you want to keep it relatively simple and just drag and position things, you can do that inside there. So, but I think we are very, very lucky at this point in time, because I think the whole landscape that we are seeing, I think I was talking to Maxime about this last week. I think it was that one. And it's like we're in a very exciting time when it comes to web design and the technologies that we have access to, and using AI. I use AI every single day for things like transcriptions and descriptions and things like that. So I don't have anything against AI. I think AI is a fantastic tool in the right place. But like I say, when it comes to design, you've only got to look at anything that AI, like Midjourney, anything like that comes up with. It's very generic. Once you've seen an AI image, you can pretty much spot an AI image a mile away. And the same thing goes for AI text in a lot of ways. If you get good at working with the prompts, you can get beyond that, and you can create great content with it. But I think if you go with the very quick and very simple, which I would assume the majority of people that even dabble with AI are going to be that, very superficial, do so-and-so for me, and it'll be like, that's it. Then they all look the same. You've only got to look at the images they've produced. They all look the same, and the text is the same. Very, very formulaic.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. And I see a lot of LinkedIn posts, or I even see some replies in like the Facebook forums. And you read the reply, and it's like you haven't really answered the question, and you can so tell you've just taken it, dumped it into ChatGPT, and said, "Answer this for me," because you're hoping it's going to lead on to the person hopefully contacting you via DM and hiring you out, or whatever. And that's frustrating. But also, you are right about image generation and templates. They all start to look the same, and I feel like no matter how smart you make AI, it's always going to be trained on what is already out there. So it just follows the pattern. But you need humans, people, to now go beyond the pattern, to now go, this is what you really want. So I see, AI, the co-pilots, all of that, they're good for inspiration, but I would never settle on just using them, kind of thing, and same with the text, like you said, refine it, make it work, make it more human, but also make it be true to what you would say as well. Don't just put out what ChatGPT says, because it's got to reflect on what would you have said in that situation. I
think this is where the strength of something like AI comes in. If you were not a born creative writer, for example. And I'm not talking about like stories and things. I'm talking like from a sort of, you're creating websites, you've got clients, things like that, and you obviously want to be able to make things concise, make to the point, whatever it is. I think this is where if you take, let's just say, your words, what you want to say, and then you run that through a tool like ChatGPT and ask it to put it into a specific way, to make it more concise, to make it more forceful. I think that's very, very useful. Like, for example, I transcribe my videos using a tool called MacWhisper, which is using Whisper AI, which is one of those large language models. And it's incredibly good. Do you know what I mean? It's like probably 99.9% of the time it's bang on. And the only thing it kind of messes up is if you've got names of products, which can maybe be a little bit weird. Like Advanced Thema, it always spells Thema, Thema. So it's like I've got to go and correct that. So it doesn't take long, but it's useful.
Yeah.
But then you can take that, because you've got a transcript of your tutorial, should we say, and then you can say, right, let's use AI now to take that transcript. So all my words, everything is there, and now create a step-by-step blog post or a summary of it for whatever you want to do. Because it's taking your words and your content and your tone of voice, it is very good then at creating something that takes what you've said and then puts it into a different format. And I think this is where the strength of things like AI come from. You are doing the hard work, the initial work to create that content in whatever format. But then you're repurposing it and using that to reword it and change the tone and, format simple step-by-step tutorials or whatever. And I think it's great for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, for us, from a content creation point of view, where we tend to use AI is, like you said, transcripting, shortening or refining it. Cover art. I mean, even with cover art, I don't really use AI there, but if we wanted to, we could do. But a lot of what we actually produce, there is literally no AI. It's us recording us. It's our voice. It's our face. It's what we show on screen. There might be some animation that flies in, but even then, 9 times out of 10, we're manually doing it. We're manually having to force things in. It might have been created by AI, by the tool previously, whatever. But and I think this goes for a lot of web designers, to be honest. I think a lot of them hopefully are using AI just as a tool to help make what they would normally do. No, sorry, I said that wrong. To make what they do more efficient, basically. Yeah.
Okay, so let's stick with the AI side of things. Have you seen the short, like 2-minute video that Elementor's put out about their Copilot, but the design AI side of things, where they're using it to create sections?
Yeah, and
have you tried it?
I have my view on it, and it's a non-biased view as well.
Go on then.
And I won't be upsetting anyone, but I'll be really brutally honest about it. And when I say brutal, I don't mean it's a bad thing either. I've got to be careful what I say. But my view on it is that I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't. I don't think you would. I don't think a lot of people would. And I think there's more people that will be annoyed by it as well. So that, for instance, you go on and then it pops up. Because I've obviously enabled the AI thing just so I can keep on track with what's happening. So today I was doing a tutorial, and just as I was about to do recording, the Copilot pops up, and I was like, no, not interested. And for me, it means I've got to now do extra clicks to get rid of it, which that's the bit that annoys me. So for seasoned veterans or people that already have a scribble or an idea for what they want to create, I don't think Copilot will have any benefit. But then when I think about a lot of people, and we see them all the time on the forums, when they put like a screenshot, you can clearly tell they have no design experience.
Yeah.
Do you remember the websites that were created 20 years ago, full of text, images, the sizes are wrong, it's just dotted around. It's like they've just got a scrapbook with, I'm going to put a newspaper cutting here, and there's no structure. For them, Copilot, I think, will get them to now think in a more logical, methodical way. So they will now go, rather than just going text, an image or header. And I think Copilot is going to be great for them. But for people like you, me, and others, it's frustrating because you're like, no, I don't need to know that. I know that. And in fact, what you are telling me to do is pants. I would never do that. Why are you even suggesting it? But I think for anyone, and again, I don't mean to be ageist here, but I've spoken to so many people who are like, like they might be 70, 80, 90 years old. They want to create a website about their life because they want to leave something behind for their grandchildren, and they want to leave a memory about somewhere they worked. And when I see what they're creating, you just want to like rip it up and start again. Copilot will be great for them.
Fair enough. To answer Alex's question, it's a tool called Mac Whisper. It's a Mac only app.
That's the one, yeah.
And it's like about $20, something like that. It's ridiculously
it's really
cheap.
Good.
But you do need to have I think you need to anyway, a paid ChatGPT account, I think. You're going to get the best out of it if you do anyway, because then you get access to the bigger language models and everything. But worth every single penny, to be honest. It saves me so much time, and it's very, very fast. I transcribed the video I released today, which is 10 minutes long, and that took probably under a minute to transcribe it, and that's 99% accurate. So pretty good. Interesting. I see where you're coming from with it. I mean, my biggest gripe with these AI type tools is they're no better, and in some cases worse, than a good wireframe set. Because you look at what most of them are putting out, they're taking the design aesthetics from, I would assume, a small subset of design ideas. You've only got to look at any of the AI tools. You can spin up the site, you can run it again, and you can respin it up, and within, let's just say, 5 clicks of respinning the site, you start to see the same layout ideas in sections again and again and again. And so far, everyone I've tried has had that limitation, which just says to me most of these AI tools that are, let's just say, sort of like theme stroke, not element or bricks type size of tools, maybe more block level tools. They're using a very small set of design ideas, and they very quickly come back up, and all that's really changing is the text, the images, and the actual content, the design and the colors, and the designs are very generic. And I get the feeling that that's probably what's going to happen. Maybe in the short term, it moves past that, but like with the example that Elementor released a couple of days ago, I get the feeling that will probably be the same. I'm only speaking from a hypothetical point of view when it comes to Elementor, but I get the feeling it's going to be quite formulaic. So all you're going to end up with, if you're not careful, especially where you're talking about like people that are not necessarily design orientated, and not everybody is. Not everybody has a design ID, designer's eye, and not everybody cares. But I think everything's going to end up looking the same by using any kind of AI templated structure and a lack of creativity. And like you say, most people that probably are creative wouldn't be using AI. So we're going to end up with a lot of cloned looking sites that just, the only difference is the words and the pictures. The designs are going to be basically the same.
Yeah, no, and it's it's a bit like when Astra first came on the scene, and the amount of shops I saw that were just like the Stormwind template, and it was bad when some of them hadn't even changed the hero banner. The contents below were their own products, but they still had the Stormwind, and it was like, what are you doing? Or the herbal one, Astra, they've got that herbal one. I see that all the time as well. It's like, come on. So it's like I said earlier, it's a bit like the GoDaddy websites, whatever. There's a template and you just see it regurgitated with different images and wording, but you look at it and go, yep, I know where you've got Neve. Neve's the worst one. You can spot a Neve website miles away. They hardly ever change. They like the layout. And the colours. The Neve is like the yellow, the black, and the white. Website comes out, different logo, but it's still. And I think that's the danger that people often think. They think, oh, I've got a Neve website. No one else will have that. And you kind of go, no, there's probably thousands out there.
It's only one of the most popular themes on WordPress free, but other than that, nobody else would have it. Like
exactly,
Astra, over a million websites on Astra. Nobody's going to use one of the 35 designs that are on there, or the 10 that are there for free. I'm totally unique. But yeah, it is. Yeah. So Nicholas brings a point up. He says, but a wireframe does not give you a hand. Sorry, does not give a hand to people like AI feels it does. People like to be guided, assisted. I think that's why it's interesting for people who know very little. This is kind of my point, and I think this is what Imran's point was is that people that don't have an eye for design, I'm not saying that that isn't beneficial to them, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. In the same way that people that are not writers can take what they want to say, they can brain dump the words that they want to put in there and then use AI to reformulate that into a much more structured, professional, clear and concise end result. Nothing wrong with it at all. I think what we are kind of saying is that there are going to be limitations at this point in time in the number of design ideas that are going to come up, and they are going to start looking very similar. And it's still the same, exactly the same with a good wireframe set. You are still going to end up with people that are using the same set, like Brixies, for example, or Brixmaven or something. If you're using a wireframe set as the be-all and end-all, the end result is going to be the same. The only thing that's going to be different is the colors and the words. No difference at all. But that doesn't make it good. And I think that's the thing we have to bear in mind is that, not everybody likes the direction of AI being integrated into everything. And we are seeing it in everything these days. That is the buzzword. I mean, if you watch things like MKBHD and you've got the AI rabbit thingy, and you've got the sort of the pin clip thing, the worst product he's ever tested kind of thing. If you watch those, this is where companies jump on the bandwagon of where AI could potentially go in 1, 2, 3 years' time. But it's so early in the life cycle of AI being useful in lots of cases that it's not really that useful right now. So I think this is the thing we have to bear in mind, that no one's saying AI, well, some people are doomsayers are saying AI is a bad thing. But go on.
And it's still very early stages. So you could create your own, container layout, say for, I don't know, a testimonial section. And then you can actually use the AI, and I'm using the Elementor one as an example, to then say, well, give me 3 other versions. And at the moment, what it does is it taps into AI and it gives you 3 things that are completely different. It's still a testimonial, but it's different. And it's almost like, well, no, this is what I've done. Ideally, the other 3 examples you give should either be similar or better or a spin on it, not completely different. And it might have the same wording, but now it's like, well, the reason I did that layout is because that fits the layout of everything else above. I don't want to now have a layout which has got rounded corners. Nowhere have I got rounded corners above. So why are we suddenly going into that? So I just think that, the evolution of AI, it's exciting, it's amazing, and it's scary to think where we'll be in, like, I used to say in 10 years' time, but now it feels like, where are we going to be by Christmas?
Yeah,
exactly. Things are moving at such a rapid rate. It's great. Yeah. It makes things fun.
Yeah, it is.
You're always looking for that one. I'm still looking for that one tool where I can just say, type in like one sentence and it generates like 1,000 videos for me, and we don't have to do any more content creation, Paul. It just goes out with our voices and faces. We can just sit on the beach somewhere.
Reaping the rewards. But the thing is, I think, and this is the thing, is I think even Google have come out and said about how they're changing their approach to search, because all you've got to do is look at something like Perplexity, and I've said about this before. Yeah. Perplexity is much, much better as a search engine than Google is, because Google just wants to shove ads down your throat. It's like the top 3 results are ads, the bottom 3 results are ads, and the bits in between, well, they may be useful, but it's really difficult to kind of actually get any real benefit from it. Whereas you go to something like Perplexity, ask the question, it'll come back with the answers. And the nice thing about a tool like Perplexity is that it also cites the sources. So if you want to check the facts are legitimate, you can just click and go straight to that source and see. And that in itself makes it much more usable and much more useful, especially if you're doing any kind of research or, I can imagine you're probably the same when you're doing less hands-on tutorial with this is how you do X, Y, and Z in Elementor, for example, and you want to create something where you talk about the theory behind it. sometimes it's easier to get that information collated and you do some research on it. Well, a tool like Perplexity is much better at that research because you can easily fact check what you're saying before you say it. Whereas with ChatGPT, you then have to manually go off and check that to see, is this information correct? So it's an extra step or two to get the same end result. And that's kind of why I like tools like Perplexity. And I think what we see inside like tools like ChatGPT right now, like you say, by Christmas, by this time next year, is going to be exciting. But there is one limitation. I was watching something this morning, and AI companies they're running out of data. There's not enough data being put onto the internet at the moment to be able to feed the algorithm, not the algorithm, sorry, that's Google, to feed the requirement that AI has. So they're starting to get into trouble now by not getting, permission to use copyrighted materials and so on. So I think we are, before long, going to hit a barrier where AI kind of peaks in the format that it is right now because it cannot get access to enough information to allow it to grow beyond where it is now.
Well, it's a great marketing strategy because companies, writers, artists could easily now start saying to all these AI companies, you have to pay us to get access to our content to feed your machine, in a way. Now, Dave then made a mention there saying that if AI created videos, would you really be content? I can tell you now, I would be very, very content if AI could do it for me. If I could get AI to create my futuristic space film about web designers trapped on Uranus, and I could get that released onto YouTube, it would happen. And I have tried. I'll put my hand up and say, about 6 months ago, and every now and again, I have tried different AI tools to help generate, and I can honestly say none of them are good enough yet for me. So I'll just put out there, Hey Gen, which you'll see loads of adverts for. It is not as good as what they make out. I can tell you that now. But one day we will get there.
All I can say is Imran has started a Kickstarter. So if you'd like to land on Uranus.com, and you can go there, and you can subsidize his film. So
you can, and you get a signed photo of Uranus. The planet.
Anyway, let's just finish this live stream right now.
The planet.
Hey, Artif. Yeah. Hey, Artif, how you doing, sir? Right, Ernesto's got a question. Now, I'm not sure you use PatchStack at the moment, Imran, but if not, I'll quickly answer this one. What's your opinion on PatchStack? I would like to add as part of my maintenance plans. I like PatchStack. I use it myself. Do you use it, Imran?
No, I don't, but I have watched the videos, and I nearly did use it on a client's website until we then went off with something else. But it is very reliable, and cost-wise, it's very, very good for what you get. I mean, there is a price, if you want to get the full-blown kit, but when you look at the securities it offers you, it's worth it. If your client's really worried about, the security of the site or vulnerabilities, you got to look at the value. You got to look at the benefit. And I always say to clients, what value do you put on your website? So if you don't want to pay $50, $60 a month or whatever, well, that's on you then. But if you're really worried about the website or potential problems, the cost of it shouldn't be a determining factor, even though it will be a determining factor.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would look at is you can set up the free, I think it's called the community account, which you can have something like either 10 or 20 sites on. But the nice thing with that is, at the bare minimum, the V-patching is very useful, which basically means that if there's a vulnerability, PatchStack release a V-patch, which is a virtual patch for it, and that will stop people from, it's basically firewall rules that via PatchStack will stop people taking advantage of that problem. So you can do that, and they drop the price on that. I think that's $5 per month. So you could easily start off with the free plan. And then if you've got a client that says, yes, I want to take this as part of my maintenance plan, well, you could charge them $15 a month. It costs you $5 a month. You're $10 up every single month. And if they decide they don't want it anymore, you can stop it there and then. You're not paying an annual fee for a higher plan. So that's one approach to it that you may want to take a look at, because like I say, that's quite relatively cheap. But if you want the full fat version, should we say, which gives you the extra options that you have in it over the free plan, yeah, I mean, if your clients are willing to pay for it, I would say it's a no-brainer, because it means that
Yeah.
if you were away on holidays, you were busy doing something else, or you don't get an email, or you don't even know that there's a vulnerability, a plugin has a vulnerability that hasn't been patched yet by the actual developers, and Patch Stack takes care of it, you can sort of rest easy knowing that's been handled in the background and you don't have to worry. And then when you go around and do your updates, you'll be notified there's an update for that plugin, blah, blah, blah. You can kind of go and do that. So Ernesto, I would say it is worth it. And like I say, if you think your clients may not want to sort of pay the high ticket price that the full fat version can kind of come with, take a look at the community version and take a look at that $5 per month that gives you access to the V patching and all the other free options on a site-by-site basis. It's worth pursuing that and taking a look at that in a bit more detail. Okay, right, Philip. Just started building with bricks. Is there any option to get it cheaper than the $600 deal? Heard of it being priced much lower. The simple answer is no. That is the price that it is now. And I don't imagine they're going to do any kind of discounts on that. They haven't historically done any discounts. No, they don't.
They never, and they don't need to either.
No.
You know, they don't need to fall into that whole marketing ploy with discounts. You know, if you want it, you pay for it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Also consider $600. That's if you want the lifetime unlimited deal. You know, I think that in itself at that price is insane. It is a very, very good price. The price they were doing it was at $295 before. I think it started at $250 to start with, and $295, something like that. You know, that was an insane deal. But even at $600, I think one project should get you that back, and then you can build as many other projects as you want without incurring any additional costs.
The best way to look at it is that, like, if the website's just for you, if you were to go and pay a designer to build your website, you, depending on your geography and where you are, you might be looking at $4,000, $5,000, or $10,000. But now you're building it. And if you're an agency or a freelancer and now you're going to be getting your clients to be using bricks, well, then they're probably going to pay you a license fee so you can make some recurring income off that because they're part of your maintenance plan. So you'll easily make back that 600, you know. So it all depends on, is this just for you? And even if it is just for you, like I said, it still works out way cheaper than you hiring a designer to build out your website for you.
Yeah.
And it's lifetime. You know, you pay once.
Yeah, but also bear in mind, if the cost is an issue and you are building for yourself or for specific clients, then just get the one-time license, you know, the annual license, and pass that cost on to the client. Yeah. Or if it's just you absorb that cost, because what is it, it's like $59 a year, something like that. It's not expensive, but worth every penny. Here's an interesting question. If you have Elementor Pro and Crocoblock, is there any benefit to switch to any of the new AI-based website creators like Framer? Well, I'll give you my thoughts on this a second, first of all, and then I'll hand it over to you, Imran. I think if you consider something like this, you may not be that good at design, or you maybe just sort of want to get a wireframe idea in place very quickly. Then a tool like Framer, which will mock it up and allow you to customize it and get it where you want it without actually getting stuck into any tool like Elementor or Bricks or any block level tool. That in itself could be very useful if you are not that strong in design, or you just want to kickstart things quickly. And then you could go and build it if you wanted to, using the tools you're familiar with. Would I recommend using Framer as the design and the build tool? If I'm honest, I've never looked at the quality of code that it outputs. So I think you'd have to sort of compare the two to see what the benefits are, and also the ongoing ability to update it using something like Framer, which is a closed architecture, as opposed to something like Elementor and Crocoblock, which maybe gives you more flexibility. But that would be my take on it. Imran, what about yourself?
Very similar answer. It depends on your skill set. So, for instance, I use ChatGPT-4. I pay a monthly subscription for that because I use it to create code snippets. I am not skilled enough to create code snippets and JavaScript and code on my own. But there will be people out there that can do code like that. They don't need to use AI. They can write and they know what to do. So if you can use Elementor Pro, Bricks, Crocoblock, anything, and you know how to design and you have that creative mind and you know how to strategize and lay out, you won't need to use Framer. But if your skills aren't completely there and you do need to use something like that, go for it. So I think it just comes down to your skill sets, and if none of us are perfect, and we're always going to have a limitation, and if we have to fill the gap by using a AI or a non-AI tool or whatever, go for it. Don't worry about it. Don't feel like you got to justify it, But I'm not afraid to admit that. Yeah, I can do HTML. Yeah, I can do CSS, but JavaScripting, give me a break. It scares me every time I get into that. But that's where tools like AI have massively, massively helped us out. I do need to shoot off in about 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go. I'll say thank you very much for joining in today's live stream. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to get you on here. And hopefully this will be the first of many more we can get together, either on your live streams when you come back or on this live stream in the future. But you crack on with the rest of your day. Take care, look after yourself, and I will see you soon.
Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, now we've got rid of him, we can start talking properly. Just joking. Imran, can you hear me? No. And let me just quickly answer your question. Do you keep close tabs on billable hours and overheads? When I work with clients, I did keep track. I always sort of charge my projects based upon the project. I never sort of did it on an hourly basis because I always find that's very difficult to justify, and clients want a breakdown of everything. And I also think it's one of those things that if you create, let's just say, for example, when you get more experienced, you know roughly how long it's going to take. You'll add 50% on for eventualities, and that's what I would factor the cost on. When it comes to doing things like updates and maintenance and things like that, if they didn't have a maintenance plans, then I would keep track of billable hours. I would build them in 15-minute increments so they didn't feel like they were ripped off if something took me 10 minutes. I didn't build them for an hour. So yeah, on that side of things, yes, I used to keep track of that, but depending on what part of the project we were talking about and how I would sort of handle it. Okay, so we've got about 10-15 minutes, or EVMux is what Imran uses Aiden for his live stream. So we've got about 10 minutes or so left on the live stream. Now, if you've got any questions at all and you want to ask me, then just do #Q for question, and I'll do my very, very best to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Now, I did see a couple of questions come in, so I'll see if there's anything that I can kind of pick up on here, so bear with me a second. No, I think I've answered all of them. That's pretty good then. Cool. So yes, like I say, if anybody's got any questions you want to ask, by all means do ask them, and I will do my best to answer them. So Kevin picked up bricks for 149 in 2021, and at the time it was a very, very sparse tool. Had really good bones, should we say. So I think it was definitely a good investment, and hopefully, Kevin, it's come back and paid itself off in the last sort of 2+ years. So let me know, do you still use it? Do you find it was a good investment? What are your thoughts on it? Have I ever tried Breakdance Valid Page Builder compared to Bricks or similar? I have tried Breakdance. I liked what it offered. I think it's an interesting project. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on with it. A lot of people love it, which is great. From my point of view, it's not a tool that I'm that invested in to want to pursue. I've got enough things that I cover on the channel. I don't want to sort of dilute it going into, Breakdance and Divi and all these different kinds of things. I've got tool sets that I'm comfortable with that I like, and I kind of keep it to that side of things. But yeah, I mean, Breakdance is a very well, a lot of people love Breakdance, and it seems to be doing a lot of good things. So yeah, cool. Thank you for answering that. No problem at all. Would you like to do an accessibility Q&A once? Hit me up and we can chat about it, see what kind of thing you want to do. I'm not the biggest on accessibility, as in I don't really know huge amounts about it, but I do know the importance of it and try to integrate it, even in the most fundamental things, into some of the designs that I'm doing. So please do hit me up, drop me a message on Facebook, and we can have a chat about it. Oh, definitely did. All clients are on bricks now. I've got to say, like I say, the where I've had the reason to sort of really get stuck into bricks for some of my own projects, for some clients' commercial projects and so on, it's been a really interesting journey over the last sort of month, 6 weeks, really getting stuck into it. And I was talking to Jim Ram before we sort of came on camera and sort of saying that I've been enjoying doing this where I've had commercial clients that I put onto bricks now and building their sites. It's been interesting because I've dealt with things in one way for a long time. And recently I've been using like GeneratePress and GenerateBlocks. And I love that tool set. I really do. And I love that they've just brought out the latest version of GenerateBlocks with global classes and so on. It's great to see that's included in it. But I think once you kind of start using global classes and BEM naming and all the kinds of things that you have from a class-first design tool like Bricks, it changes the way in which you approach the designs that you're doing. And I think that's the kind of exciting thing from my point of view. So I've been really enjoying getting stuck into really using Bricks properly with reason. Because one of the things I kind of find is if you're just dabbling, you don't really get stuck in. You don't have problems you've got to overcome because that didn't work the way I want, so you move on to the next thing. Whereas if you're doing it for a project, you kind of have to stick at it until you get the result that you're looking for, or find alternative methods or tools that allow you to get what you're looking for. So from that point of view, it's been really interesting to sort of get stuck in. God, that feels weird now. I'm taking those out. It's been really interesting to get stuck in. So, yeah. Okay, there's a couple of questions coming in. E-commerce ones. I'm not really one for e-commerce, if I'm honest. Let's have a little look. Philip, do you use well-curated and granular template libraries while developing? I'm thinking about nicely animated hovers, navs, buttons, template switches, FAQ sections, especially for Bricks. Not so much design libraries like that kind of thing where you've got right down to the very smallest component pieces. That's more, I believe, if you're using something like Tailwind, I think that's kind of more geared towards that side of things. Whereas in the Bricks ecosystem, it's more of your block pieces, your hero sections, your testimonial sections, and so on. So from that point of view, there's two that I use and I like. Brixies is one, which is relatively new. I think they're probably about like 6 months old, something like that. But they're very quickly bringing out great designs. They're all wireframes. They're all using the proper conventions when it comes to BEM naming and all those kinds of things. So if you are a Bricks user, especially if you're using like ACSS or Core Framework, you really can benefit from what they're doing there. Those are the ones that I use and I would recommend. Like I say, I only recommend the ones that I use. So those are the two that I would recommend taking a look at. Brixies is one, like I say, and every week the team behind that are releasing 10 new templates every single week. They've started moving into WooCommerce. So you've got your checkout pages, your product pages. I think, have they done the cart page? I don't know if they've done the cart page. They've done the checkout page, the archive page, and like the single product page and things like that. So they're moving into that side of things. Core Framework. If you are a Core Framework user, they've also brought out Violet, which is a design theme set, which has some really nice layouts included in there. And again, it's all modular, so it's really nice to work with. Those are the ones that I would say are useful tools. And I know people that use ACSS, they also like Frames, which is the kind of comparison tool or the complementary tool that goes with that for the design side of things. There's lots of good options out there. It's very early, I think, and this is definitely a direction that Bricks developers and designers are going in. So that's pretty cool. Arlene, there's a question. ACF Pro or Crockablock Jet Engine? This is a difficult one. ACF Pro is the tool that I know the best. So I would probably generally go with ACF Pro. It's part of my tech stack and my blueprints. However, the limitation you've got with something like ACF Pro is that it does one job and it does it well. So it's got, your meta fields, now your custom taxonomies and your post types. But everything else is going to require other tools. Whereas something like Jet Engine, you've got those same things there, but you've also got custom content types, CCTs. You've got the ability for your profile builder, which allows you to create front-end dashboards and so on, and a lot of other features in there. So it really comes down to, do you need those features? If you do, then a tool like Jet Engine is probably the better option there. However, if you look at something like ACF Pro, and I was thinking about this the other day, ACF Pro is probably the most supported of all those kinds of meta fields and custom post type tools out there by a long shot, I would say. Metabox is getting closer and Jet Engine is being picked up by a lot more places. Toolset is kind of off to the one side because that took a bit of a hiatus while I was waiting to figure out what was happening with Gutenberg, and they've kind of focused solely on Gutenberg. You've also got Pods, which is a free project, but it's not as quick to develop as some of the other tools out there. But if it's between those two, I would say I would have to look at what my requirements would be, and if it went beyond what a tool like ACF Pro offers, and if it was things that Jet Engine offered, if that makes sense. So hopefully, Arlene, that answers the question from my point of view. But I say, don't think there's anything wrong with either of those. I think both will do a great job. Just depends on what external or extra things you may actually require. This is a good question. What are the best WordPress plugins for applying animations to a WordPress website? Motion is probably one of the biggest libraries out there, which is a GSAP library with a visual sort of way of building things. Motion is definitely worth taking a look at. It also depends then what tools you use. You know, if you are Bricks, then you'd have certain tools you could use. If you're Elementor, you'd have different tools you could use. If you are just working with blocks, then, you know, you can have different tools again. But I would say if you want something and you want a visual way of working, I would take a look at Motion. That kind of gives you a nice visual timeline-based way of being able to create these effects pretty quickly. Okay, we've got 5 more minutes. Like I say, if we've got any more questions, I'm going to keep an eye because I've seen 1 or 2. Okay, I don't know what that was all about, but we'll ignore that one. Okay, Rob, I'm using Jet Filter with ACF Pro, but I cannot use certain ACF fields, so beware. Yeah, I mean, Jet Filter, Jet Smart Filter, and Jet Search is always going to work the best if you're working with Jet Engine itself, but it does work for the most part with a lot of what ACF and ACF Pro bring to the table. Thanks a lot for the input. Interested. Violet from Core Framework. How is the other one spelled? Brixies. It's spelled with an X. It's Brixies, I think. No, actually, tell a lie. Brixies. Brixies. Yeah. There we go. Dave Jens to the rescue. See, Brixies spelled that way. Like I say, it's a great little library. It's one that I bought not long after they released the first version of it. And I really like it. I've used it on several different projects. It's well coded. It works well. You do need to be comfortable with adding the code in, the CSS and JavaScript where needed to get some of the more advanced functionality that's included in any of the designs. But it works very, very well. It's quick to work with, and you can put a site together in probably 10 to 15 minutes. You can have a page put together, and probably in the space of 2 or 3 hours, you can have a full site put together with Bricks, all of your archive pages, your 404 pages, all those kinds of good things all in place. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up here. I want to keep these things to an hour if I can. If you've enjoyed the live stream, please do give it a thumbs up because it tells YouTube you enjoyed it and it'll help spread it to more people. If you found value in it, again, like I say, give us a thumbs up. It makes a lot of sense. If you're watching this on replay, if you've got any questions, comments, or you want to say anything about anything I've covered in this, drop those in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back next week. I'm aiming for the same day, but I can't guarantee it. And I'm also starting a new series with various different WordPress developers called the Developer Talks. And I've got the first one lined up where I'm going to be speaking to Andre from Crockerblock. That's already set up, so if you want to check that out, by all means, please do. But over the next couple of weeks and months, I'm going to be talking with different developers behind different plugins and things like that. So if that's interesting to you, be sure to keep an eye out because those live streams will be up very, very soon. And I'd love you to be part of the conversation. So as they come up, if you've got comments, questions, or feedback, anything you'd like me to ask any of those guests, by all means, let me know. But anyway, that's enough for me today. Thanks very much for taking the time to join me on the live stream. Thanks to Imran for being part of it. And until next time, take care.